Merry Meet and welcome to Soulful Sunday here at Merry Meet and Merry Meet and welcome to Soulful Sunday here at Ariel's Corner. This is Ariel Gatoga and we are streaming live on YouTube. Moderating today are the lovely Honey Paw and the lovely Heather. Thank you so much, moderators. And thank you so much to everybody for joining us today. I hope you're having a great day. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. Our website is located at arielscorner.com, arielscorner.com. We do have a podcast hub, and you can find that by going to arielspodcasts.com, arielspodcasts.com, and our shop is located at arielscornershop.com, arielscornershop.com. If you'd like to donate to this channel, you can go to paypal.me/arielgatoga, paypal.me/arielgatoga. If you'd like to give while you're live on YouTube, you can use a super sticker or super chat to give a donation, or if you're on a restream, if you'd like to do it on YouTube, you could use a super thanks. We do appreciate your support, and we do appreciate you for being here today. Let's see. I thought I had something else that I wanted to talk about before I started. Oh, we don't have a premiere today, but I did put up a little video on how to make a charm bag this morning. So if you'd like to watch that, that is up for your amusement. It's basically what we did on the last Witchy Wednesday stream, but I edited it and made it a little easier to watch. All right, I guess that about does it. I have had some coffee, but it's not working, so good luck to all of you listening to me today. I will do my best. Here we go. If you are in a place where it is safe and appropriate, please close your eyes and take some nice, long, slow, deep, relaxing breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. With every inhale, feel more light and peace entering your body and mind. With each exhale, allow all the tension in your body to go, along with anything in your mind that you do not want. Inhaling peace, exhaling as you let go. We picture ourselves on top of a beautiful mountain, in the center of a circular grove of trees. In the center of our circle, a bonfire blazes forth. It lights us and the grove with a sacred golden light. We recognize this light as being the light of perfect love and perfect trust. It easily and efficiently burns away everything unlike itself, leaving us safe and serene. Into this sacred space, we invoke the presence of our Creator. To many of us, our Creator reveals themselves to be a mother and father, a goddess and God. We also invite the presence of our angels, our guides, our teachers. We ask that we be guided as we walk upon the way, becoming happier, more powerful, wiser, more magical, and more loving people. Blessed be. I also forgot to mention that if you have a question for me, you can put it right in the chat thread, and I will do my best to get to it by the end of the stream. I do have to get to work today, so hopefully I won't go too long, and I'll have time if we have questions. If for some reason I can't get to your question, we'll get to it on Discord, on our Discord server, or on our private Facebook group, and you can find the links to both of those places on our website, arielscorner.com. arielscorner.com, just look on the bottom of any page on that website, and you'll find all of our social media links right there. If you want to get your question answered online, though, make sure that you get that question in before I start that exit music. Otherwise, it's just too late. Invariably, what happens is we tell people to put in their questions, and then the exit music is going, and then we get questions, and not much we can do at that point. I get so many emails asking me for spells for this, spells for that. I need the a psalm for this, a psalm for that. And it's understandable since that's what I teach. I teach magic, and some of the magic I teach is psalm magic. So it does make sense. But what happens, I've noticed, is that when I give a suggestion, that those same people will come back with, well, then I need another spell for this or another spell for that. And what I'm noticing happening usually, well, I've noticed this for many years, is that people misunderstand how magic works. They really think that they need a specific operation. They need a specific formula. They need a specific psalm. And while a very well composed spell can be very powerful, the reason it's powerful is not because of something it's doing. It's because it is helping you to guide your mind in a particular way to build the thought form necessary for whatever it is that you want to achieve. Think about revival meetings in Christian churches where they have miracle healings up on stage. Rarely do you hear about what happens after those people go home. What happens is that they get a bunch of adrenaline and they get maybe a post-hypnotic suggestion within the hubbub of all of that Jesus stuff that goes on in those revival meetings, and they get up out of their wheelchair maybe, or they have their pain leave, or something happens where they feel like they've had a miracle healing. But it doesn't last. It never lasts because they're not building a thought form. They're not changing the energy patterns necessary in order to have a permanent healing or a permanent change to whatever their circumstance is. It's all just a bunch of smoke and mirrors that's done instantaneously for a moment for the purpose of having a spectacle. And what we don't want is our magic to be merely a spectacle. We want our magic to be something that happens let's say that again. We want our magic to be something that creates long-term and or permanent change in our lives. And some of the most dramatic and most powerful magic I've ever experienced has very little spectacle to it. And as we've talked about before, sometimes that spectacle is a distraction. Sometimes when we have a lot of the unusual occurrences, it's not because that means that the spell is more powerful. It usually means that the spell isn't as powerful because we are going into a lot of we're looking for phenomena. We're looking for phenomenalistic occurrences rather than true healing, rather than true resolution. So it's important to understand that if you are studying magic, that what you want to study is something that works. You don't want tricks. If you want magic tricks, study illusion. If you want to be an illusionist, that's wonderful. They're very fun to watch. And in fact, going to see a good magic show is good for us as real magicians because it opens our minds, it gets our imagination going, and it can be a lot of fun, and it actually can be very helpful to us. But we're not after illusion. In fact, we're after the opposite of illusion. We want to cut through illusion and get into resolution. We want to cut through illusion and get into healing, get into success. And in my training that I offer, A Witch's Primer, we don't start out with a lot of spells. We don't start out with a lot of gizmos. We start out with your mind. We start out with you, training your mind, training your energy bodies, training yourself to actually have control over your own forces, your own natural forces that each and every one of us has, and building that power by working internally. And then later, we start to show you how you can use candles or poppets or powders or correspondences and things like that to help fine-tune whatever the operation that you're using. But those things are never presented as something that's necessary. They are adjuncts that many of us find helpful and some of us find enjoyable. But the crux of the magic comes from within. Always, the crux of all the magical operations that are successful are an occurrence of an internal operation. So it doesn't matter whether you get, well, you can just turn on YouTube and see what people are after and what people are touting. Magical mantra, magical powder. Say this once and you'll have $1 million. And there's very little difference to that in the old time revival meeting. It's just a lot of snake oil to get clicks or to get donations or whatever they're looking for. When in reality, in order to become a powerful magician, which magical practitioner, requires that you take full responsibility. You don't put your faith in a powder. You don't put your faith in a potion. You don't put your faith in anything outside of you. And therefore, when you use a powder, when you use a potion, when you use a candle, those things are very powerful for you because they are focal points for those forces that you are training, that you are focusing, that you are building. I remember in the 80s and 90s, there were a lot of, well, mostly in the 90s, there were a lot of infomercials where you called, a phone number to get whatever they were selling. This before we had the internet. So the internet was on TV, basically. There was a lot of infomercials. And fitness was a big craze. Rarely did they talk about what you needed to do as far as work out every day, have a program to exercise every day in order to build muscle. No, it was always, you need this machine. Without this machine, you're never going to be able to get the kind of body that you want. Or you need this drink, you need this shake, you need this powder, you need these supplements. And it's the same shtick that we see with magic. You need this, you need that. On Facebook, I see all kinds of posts that, there's so many different incenses you can buy and so many oils, and they're wonderful. I'm not saying you can't have them, especially if they help make your spellcasting more enjoyable and they help you, to get in the mood. That's wonderful. But the idea that somehow you need to turn your craft into another form of consumerism is just outrageous to me. It's absolutely outrageous to me. And it's been going on for a long time, but it's really hit a critical period in our craft, in the world of the craft, in the modern iterations of what the craft is. That somehow you can buy your way into magic. You can buy your way into having results happen for yourself. It's no different than thinking that you can buy your way into having fitness. How many people have bought that Bowflex in the 90s and it's still sitting in their garage and they never bothered to use it because they didn't want to exercise. They just wanted to buy something that would give them a beautiful body. How do you think that worked out for them? Same thing goes with us. Don't buy it that you can buy your way into getting a spell to work for you. And don't pay people to do your magic for you either, by the way. How good is that? Even if it works, it's no more permanent than that healing that happens on stage in a revival meeting. You're going to be back in that wheelchair. You're going to be back with whatever the problem was as soon as all the dust settles, because you have not built the proper internal infrastructure needed for that change to occur. So it doesn't matter whose system you use. You don't need to use a witch's primer. You don't need to use any one particular system. But you do need to understand that in order for magic to be real in your life, to have results that are verifiable and repeatable, you have to train. And it's no different from training in fitness or training as a musician or training as an engineer. It is a matter of working with universal principles. And they're not difficult. They're not challenging, but they do require you to be committed to them. They do require your effort. And the more we allow ourselves to be distracted by the shiny things that are being thrown at us from all directions, saying, buy this, buy this, buy this, the less we are working on our own forces, internal forces, magical forces. Really, there's not much to do other than learning how to train your mind, learning how to relax your body, learning how to build a thought form, raise and focus energy, and then release it. Praying to an external deity is no better than going to the revival meeting or trying to buy some fast money incense. An external deity or an external entity isn't going to help you, isn't going to do the work for you required to get the results that you want. And I'll let you in on a secret. There is no such thing as an external entity or external deity. So anytime that you are working with a spirit, say, that's helping you, what you're really doing is working with yourself. You're working with an aspect of yourself that you are objectifying, which can be quite effective as long as you know what you're doing. Right? And then allowing that to occur for you. But it's not external to you. There is no external demon that is helping you, that it's bringing you something. There is no external deity that's out there bringing you something. And to the degree that you believe that it's external to you is the degree to which you still have not built your own power. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with looking to a higher power for the support that you need. But the idea that that higher power is external from you is the problem. And so anytime you catch yourself praying to something or asking something outside of you to rescue you from an experience, recognize that the best that you can come up with in that circumstance is temporary relief from something. But if you want permanent change, then you need to roll up your sleeves. You need to roll up your sleeves and do the work that you need to do. And yes, you can do it in conjunction with your higher power, with your higher self, with your superconscious mind. Absolutely. Guided and led by that higher mind, which to many of us, since it's so different than the way that we think day to day, it seems like an external entity. Right? And it can appear that way. It can come to us that way if it's easier for us to recognize it. But we still have to take responsibility for the fact that that is a part of ourselves. It's a part of our mind. And there is no shortcut to doing the work that we need to do in order to build the musculature necessary to create change in our lives. And that's what magic is. Magic is change that is occurring in conformity with our will. But it's our will. Now, whether that's the higher will or whether that's the will of the ego will determine the kind of results that we get, but it's still our will. It's still our responsibility. It's still our mind. Those are still our powers. And if you are going to hand over your power to externals, you're going to be very disappointed in your results. If you rely on the powder, if you rely on the demon, if you rely on the government, if you rely on the politician, if you rely on the practitioner to do it for you, you are not going to have the permanent results that you desire. And it's really important that we get clear on this and we get grounded in the fact that our magic is our own. Our magic comes from our own sweat equity. You don't need to buy anything in order to be powerful. The only thing you need to spend is time and effort. And if you're spending the time and the effort on a daily basis, you get the results. Now, some people say, well, I don't have that kind of power. There's no way I can make that kind of change. And I say, okay, I understand. That's how you've been brainwashed in this world. We all believe that to some degree or another. But then what I will start with those people to gently coax them into understanding where their power lies is say, if you want to relax tension in your body, who can do that for you? If you have tension in your stomach, who can you look to relieve that tension? Nobody but yourself. You have to decide. You have to relax. You have to take the breath. If you are hungry, who's responsible for chewing and swallowing your food? You are. If you need to take a breath, who's responsible for taking that breath? You are. Now, I understand that some people are on feeding tubes and ventilators and things like that, but that's not really eating and breathing. That's different. So you can take that basic principle of I'm the only one that can relax my body, and you can extend that out, that I'm the only one that can build my own thought forms. I'm the only one that can think my own thoughts. I'm the only one that can have my own goals. I'm the only one that can change my life. And we are up against so much resistance in this world. So much resistance in this world that it can feel as though we don't have a chance. It can feel as though we don't have any power. But that's a lie. Don't buy it. You have all the power. You have all the power. Take a moment right now with me. Unless you're driving or something, then don't do it right now. Come back to it later. Close your eyes. Take a big, deep breath. Let it go. And notice inside your body where there's tension. There's a little bit of tension somewhere. So take a big, deep breath and feel as though that breath is going right into that tension. And then let the breath go and relax the tension. Now, even if it only relaxed a little bit, look at all that power you have. Look at all that power you have. You just made a choice about your experience, and through that magical decision and that magical act, you changed yourself. And there's absolutely no difference between you being able to change that in that moment with your breath to being able to build thought forms to create financial prosperity for yourself, to create safety and protection for yourself, to create health for yourself, and to create anything else that is within your sphere of influence. And as you do that, you will notice your sphere of influence expanding. But to the degree that you are expecting externals to do it for you, you are atrophied. You allow your magic to atrophy. And we don't want our magic to atrophy. We want it to grow. We want it to expand. We want all of our power. Don't you want all your power? I want all my power. I don't want a little of my power. The infinite gave me all power. So why do I want just a little bit of it? I want all of it. I want all my power to make all the kind of change that I am capable of making in my life. Don't you? So don't give your power away. Don't give your power away to people outside of yourselves that are convincing that they can, trying to convince you that they can do it for you, or their product can do it for you, or their system can do it for you, whatever it is that they're promising. Now, that's not to say you can't buy their products. That's not to say that you can't follow their system. Of course you can. And it's not their fault if we turn them into idols, right? But it's up to you to know where the cart is and where the horse is. And the horse needs to be before the cart. If the cart is before the horse and you're wondering why you're not going anywhere, and you're pretending like, well, maybe I can buy a powder for that. Maybe I can burn a candle for that. Maybe I can get a new politician that will help me get my horse before my cart. No, that's up to you. You have to do it. You have to get in there and learn how to relax your body and lower your mental shield. You have to get in there and learn how to build a thought form. You have to get in there and learn how to quiet your mind and to have new thought habits to support your goals. That's on you. Nobody can do that for you. Nobody can think your thoughts for you. So when you catch yourself, and it's not your fault either. This world has taught us since the beginning that we don't have power. We don't have power. Go look for power somewhere else because it's not inside of you. That's been a given since you took your first breath. So it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to change that. When you change that idea and you start taking responsibility for your mind, and you start taking responsibility for your magic, and you start taking responsibility for your life, you don't put up with that anymore. You don't put up with it from yourself. You definitely don't put up with it from other people. You don't put up with this idea that I don't have power, but somebody else does, and I hope that they give it to me. No, I have all power, and I want to access all my power. And that's on us to do that for ourselves. Nobody can do it for us. And if you don't feel like you are accessing all of your power, that's okay. There's just more work to do. And it should be fun. It actually is always fun. It's fabulous when you start to experience that you have access to power that you didn't understand because you've been trained to look outside of yourself. But once you realize that you have a lot of power, it's fun to access it. It's fun to start creating change in the world. It's absolutely enjoyable. It's ecstatic, in fact. It's not drudgery. The ego will tell you it's going to be drudgery. Oh, it's going to be so hard. It's so hard. You're going to have to do all these boring meditation exercises. And, oh, look at that. I mean, it's just awful. It's so much better if you can just ask somebody else to do it for you. Because the ego doesn't want you accessing your power because it's death to the ego. The ego knows it will die when you have your power back because it's been lying to you this whole time, telling you you are powerless. So, I invite you to notice when you're looking outside of yourself. Just take a week and just say, I'm just going to do this as an exercise. You don't have to believe me. But this week, just take a moment every so often and say, am I looking outside of myself for my power, or am I accessing my power? Because you can't do both at the same time. You can't expect something outside of you to do it for you and you to find it in yourself. And again, like I said, as you're accessing your own power, you can use those tools. Absolutely. You can buy all the stuff you want to buy. In fact, you'll have more money to buy the stuff you want to buy because you're accessing your power to create more prosperity, right? So if you still want those things, absolutely buy them. Nobody can stop you. That's your choice. That's your preference. But a lot of that stuff we're not going to be interested in anymore because we realize we don't need it. I don't need a shelf full of magical powders that somebody made in order for them to make money off of my insecurity that I don't have enough power within myself. Right? And again, I'm not saying that all occult supplies are like that. I mean, I love witchy stuff. It's fun. I love to use the oils and the incenses and all that stuff. It's a lot of fun. And I love being able to work within all those correspondences, right? To find what it is that I'm trying to achieve what I'm trying to achieve in wonderful, fun, enjoyable ways. And it has its place, but only to the degree that it's augmenting the power that I've discovered and grown and built within myself. Huge difference when a self-actualized witch uses a tool versus somebody that's saying, I don't have any power, what can I do? Where's the spell? Where's the psalm? I need some help. I have no power. Well, coming from that point of view, the spell and the psalm may give you a little comfort, which is good. But until you're able to access the power within yourself and take responsibility for building it, you're not going to get the results that you think you are going to get with those tools, with those external methods. It's just not going to happen. And I've seen it again and again and again and again, where people think, no, just one more psychic. just one more reading and I'll have it. I'll have all of this that I need. Just one more oil, just one more powder, right? Just one more. I'm gonna send another $1,000 to the witch doing the spells for me, and then I'll get what I want. Never works. It never works. I mean, it may, like I said, work temporarily, but wouldn't you rather do it rather than sending money to somebody else to do it? Wouldn't you rather do it? Wouldn't you rather have your own power? I would. So let's do that. Let's take a week. And anytime we are looking outside of ourselves for the answer, we're going to say, not this week. This week, I'm going to find the power within. This week, I'm going to change my thought on this situation. This week, I'm going to see a different result. This week, I'm going to take charge of the current of power that's happening and alter that tide myself with my thought current, with my intention, with my understanding. Regardless of what degree of power you've built for yourself, you have enough. You have enough just by making a choice, just by making the decision to alter your life, to alter your own life based on your own internal power structures. And those will grow over time if you use them. But if you keep relying on everything outside of yourself to do it for you, you'll never access that power, and those forces won't grow. They won't be built. So let's take a week and just going to take a week off of externals. Just going to take 1 week off of looking outside of myself for the results that I want in my life. And I'm going to look within myself, and I'm going to change my thought patterns. I'm going to change my energy so that it is suited toward my goal of what I want. Something's happening that you don't like. Okay, fine. What do I want instead? Let me focus my forces on getting what I want instead. When you do that, like say it's a health problem, you've chosen that you're going to be healed of this. Well, then you're going to probably be led to the perfect doctor that's a specialist in that, or the perfect supplement, or the perfect whatever. In which case, then you will take it because it's a result of an internal process, not you looking outside of yourself. Do you see the difference? When you work with your doctor after having decided to be healthy, that's very different than saying, I have no power over my health. I hope this works. I hope the doctor knows what to do. Very different experience. So, this week is a very powerful week for you if you decide to take on this challenge. That your power is your own, your power comes from within you, and you can make change happen. Yes, you can. And you're going to do it. And you're not going to take no for an answer from yourself. And you're not going to let anybody convince you otherwise. And notice the miracles that happened this week. Notice the miracles that happened this week because they came from you. They came from deep within you. And remember, you are one with your Creator. You are like a sunbeam from the sun. So you have just as much power as any other being in the universe. Nobody has more power than you do or less power than you do. So you can tap into that power because it's within you, not outside of you, within you. And you can direct it toward whatever it is that you want. So you start within your sphere of influence, and little by little, you're going to expand that sphere of influence. Right? So you're not going to try to do the nonsense. Oh, well, I can do anything I want, so let's see if I can fly. None of that. You're going to stay within your sphere of influence, but you're going to really be there. You're going to really effect change within the sphere of influence. And that's how that sphere grows. And you're going to do it. And it's going to be wonderful. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. Until next time, blessed be. Okay, let's see if we have any questions. Your intentions are the most powerful thing, right? Intention, yes. But it's also the follow through. Because people say intention, and then they don't talk about anything else. And I hear that a lot. It used to really drive me wacky, but it doesn't anymore because I'm a lot more compassionate than I used to be. When people say set your intention, I agree with that. But intention is the beginning, not the end. It's also how do you build the thought form? How do you lower your mental shield? How do you train your thinking to support your intention? You can't say, I intend to have my debts paid, and then go around thinking, oh, I'll never pay my debts. I'll never pay my debts. That's not going to work. You have to have your intention, yes, but then you have to have some sort of daily practice that supports that intention. And then in the world, you have to train your mind to not move in the opposite direction with your train of thought. So you really have to take charge of all of those forces within you that are normally scattered, because that's how the world trains us to be powerless, is to train us to scatter our forces everywhere. We talked about all kinds of different ways that we scatter our forces all the time, by talking about it, by oversharing. That's a way to scatter our forces, by not being aware of our wandering minds, by not relaxing our bodies, by not having a daily practice of any kind, right? And then we say, well, I'll just set my intention. Well, what good is that going to do if your intention isn't backed up by a practice? But it is setting your intention, you're right. But then you also have to support that intention with a daily practice. Hopefully that answers that great question. And that about does it, it looks like. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I so appreciate you. And thank you to the amazing moderators. Today we had the lovely Honeypaw and the lovely Heather. Welcome back, Heather. And we will see everybody on Wednesday for Witchy Wednesday. Until then, blessed be.